All right, so Armin's been useful with Monahan. Monahan has seen plenty of ice lately. Has been very good too. Jake Evans been useful too, but there was an instance earlier this week where the Canadiens played with 3 centermen after the rather puzzling demotion of Mitchell Stephens to the American League. Puzzling. Well, the easy explanation is that Tanner Pearson was coming back. They had to send somebody down, and Stephens was the one that they had the biggest certainty that he wouldn't be claimed on waivers. So it was an easy fix. But in the meantime, the Canadiens didn't have
a good explanation.
I know, but it's a reason. Listen,
I know. I'm just saying it is the easiest explanation, but it's still not a good one. But anyway.
That's why I'm bringing it up to you now, because they played with 3 centermen. Honestly, it looked, all those times where we see like 11-7 setups and the defensemen hate playing at 7D because it messes up the pairings and all that, and they shift from one to the other, and so they don't like it. And it's a well documented fact in hockey that defensemen don't like playing 7D, but playing 3 centermen, I feel like for the wingers, they got a taste of the equivalent of the frustration that the defensemen get when they play 7D, because they got rotated and changed line constantly. Monahan and Evans had easily 4 wingers each that they played pretty much on par in that one game against Ottawa. And finally, it was fixed, and Lucas Condotta was
called up.
Was called up. And so it's going to be, most obviously, a situation where they're going to use that spot to try guys and see where they're at in their development and use it, as a bit of revolving doors. I don't know if it's maybe that Condotta will be here until just Alex Newhook comes back. I mean, he skated in his full gear today in Brossard. But the Canadiens had the opportunity to pick up a guy on the waiver wire, Adam Ruzicka from Calgary. They chose to pass. Nick Bonino was put on waivers. The whole league passed because, let's face it, Bonino's at the end of the road and his legs are shot.
Yeah.
So that's where they're at. And also, they chose to keep, maybe, I don't know how big in the picture that is, but they're trying to keep their number of contracts as low as possible approaching trade deadline. So,
yeah, I mean, there's that. And I just do think that they like the idea that Lucas Condotta's up, I don't know. Maybe Jan Mysak will get a shot at some point. Maybe they can give him a look for a few games. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that they could, but I feel like it's just worth going over just how ludicrous that situation was. And it's just one game. It's not the end of the world, but it's a very odd way for an NHL team to manage their roster when there's a game to be played. Not just any game, a game against a team that spanked you 6-2 in Ottawa. You're coming off 2 games where you just gave up 15 goals in 2 games. You gave up 9 in Boston. You have this game and you decide to purposely go with 3 centers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I asked Suzuki about it after the game. I was like, when you saw that you were dressing 3 centers, like, what was your reaction? And he's like, well, to be honest with you, when I saw that they put Stevie, who was Mitchell Stephens, when I saw that they put Stevie on waivers, I was a little shocked because I was like, well, now we have 3 centers. Like, how are we gonna do that? He didn't say it, but it kind of, the vibe was like, what are we even doing here? Like, what's going on? Kind of thing. Like you want me to go out and try my best to win a game when you're not trying your best to win a game? Like, as far as management's concerned, like you're sending, that's the message you're kind of sending to your players, they're sitting there wondering, like, why are we doing this? Because you mentioned Tanner Pearson's coming back. Yes, he's a winger. And you mentioned Mitchell Stephens was likeliest to get through waivers. Yes, 100%. And he did get through waivers, but you had a waiver exempt player on your team, Joshua Roy, a winger, that you could have sent down easily. Now, if the argument was, well, we wanted to keep Joshua Roy, he had earned his way. He had earned staying. he had earned staying. Like he played well enough to deserve to stay, and so we want to send him a message that you're playing well. It's a meritocracy, so we kept you, and we did all these gymnastics. We put a guy on waivers, risked losing him, sent him down, played a game with 3 centers. Also, we can keep you in the lineup. And then what happens the day after the game? They send him down.
Send him down.
So it's like, what are they doing? Like, what was that whole series of things? And the other thing, you mentioned all the wingers being rotated. Why were they being rotated? Because Michael Pezzetta was in the lineup and didn't play after the first period. That's why. Because otherwise, if you have 4 sets of wingers, you have 8 wingers and 3 centermen, it's actually not that disruptive. It's the 3 centermen just get to play more. You keep your wingers together, and the 3 centers rotate through them. Or the 3 centers take turns playing with the 4th line, basically. It's not that hard to manage.
Yeah, but you still amputate your bench after the first period in order for that to run more smoothly.
But no, well, you don't. If you didn't amputate your bench, if you didn't sit Pezzetta from the first period, from first intermission on, you could run that smoothly. It's not that. We see it all the time. You just one shift, Suzuki goes on the 4th line. Next shift, the 4th line's next shift, Evans goes with the 4th line. The 4th line's next shift, Monahan goes with the 4th line. You continue like that. It wouldn't be that difficult. But they sat Pezzetta after the first. Pezzetta was in the lineup. Why? Because they were playing against Ottawa, and it might get rough. Marty said, I wanted to have Michael Pezzetta on my bench. But it was Arbor Jackey's first game back, which would have been a good reason to go 11-7 because you don't know what you're going to get from him. He's been in Laval for a while. If you want to give yourself insurance on D, go 11-7. And if you're worried about it getting rough, you got Jackey.
Yeah.
And so that was another puzzling thing about that game. And all of it just, if you look at it from the point of view of the players, like from the outside, none of this is all that consequential, right? It's really like, who cares? Like, does it really matter that much? But if you're a player on that team, having gone through the 2 games you just went through, looking at Ottawa as an opportunity to get back at them for the game that the licking they gave you in Ottawa, 6-2, get back to playing decent hockey after having a total collapse in Boston in the 3rd period, a game that they were in for 40 minutes. Let's not forget. They played well for 40 minutes of that game. Well, they were in the game. I don't know if they were playing all that well, but they were in the game. And just kind of collapsed late. And so for that, you would think from a player's point of view, like, okay, my coaches and my management team are going to put us in the best position to succeed here because we need to win this game. And it was the opposite of that.